Here's a trick almost every college student has run into. You find the textbook you need, secondhand, for $10 or $15 instead of the $200 or $300 the campus store wants. You feel clever. And then you discover the catch: to actually turn in your homework, you need a one-time access code, a scratch-off password that only comes with a new copy, can't be bought used, can't be shared, and expires at the end of the term. So you can buy the book. You just can't do the assignment with it. Which means you're back to paying full price after all. That little trap tells you almost everything about why textbooks got so expensive, because it was never really about the book. It was about making sure you couldn't escape the price. And underneath it is one broken rule that the whole industry is built on: in this market, the person who chooses the product never pays for it. Think about how you normally buy things. You see the price, you decide if it's worth it, and if it's too expensive, you walk away. That pressure, you walking away, is what keeps prices honest. Textbooks short-circuit that completely. Your professor picks the book. They choose it based on what's best for the course, and they never see the price tag because they don't pay it. You pay it. And you can't shop around, or pick a cheaper rival, or decide the material isn't worth it, because you need that book for that class to get that grade. Economists have a name for this: the principal-agent problem. The person making the choice and the person bearing the cost are two different people. And whenever that happens, price stops mattering, because the one person who could say no thanks, too expensive, has no say at all. Publishers understood this perfectly. With a captive audience that had to buy whatever was assigned, they had something close to a license to raise prices, and for decades, they did. Government investigators found textbook prices rising at around 3 times the rate of ordinary inflation. A flagship textbook could hit $200, $300, even $400 for a book you'd use for a few months and then be stuck with. But a captive market has one leak, and publishers spent 30 years plugging it: the used book. Because here's the thing about a textbook: it doesn't get used up. One physics book can be resold to next year's student, and the year after that. Every one of those resales is a sale the publisher doesn't make. So they went to war on the second-hand market, one clever move at a time. First, the new edition. Every couple of years, out comes a new version, the chapters shuffled, a few examples swapped, the page numbers changed just enough that the old edition no longer lines up with the class. Government investigators flagged this years ago. Frequent new editions were a major reason prices kept climbing, and they quietly killed the resale value of last year's book overnight. Then came the real masterstroke, the access code. Publishers moved the graded homework online, behind that one-time password we started with. Now the thing you're really buying isn't the paper at all, it's permission to submit your assignments. And that permission can't be resold, can't be shared, and dies at the end of the semester. In one move, the entire used book market, the student's last escape route, was simply switched off. By recent surveys, roughly 3/4 of students have hit at least one class that required a code like this. And here's where the story takes a turn most people don't know. Because the students fought back, and, for once, they won. They rented instead of buying. They bought used while they still could. They shared, they pirated, they used free open textbooks written by professors and given away online, and huge numbers of them just refused to buy the book at all. Surveys found roughly a third of students skipping at least one required text. And it worked. Around 2016, textbook prices stopped climbing, and what students actually spend per year collapsed, from about $700 in the late 2000s to under $300 today, the lowest in decades. So the crisis is over? Not quite. Because the industry did what trapped industries always do, it changed shape. The same publishers pivoted from selling you a book to renting you access. Cengage launched an all-you-can-read subscription, Pearson followed with an app for about $15 a month. And colleges rolled out inclusive access, where your course materials are quietly built straight onto your tuition, digital only, Opt out if you can find the button. You never own anything. You rent the right to read, semester by semester, which relocks the exact market students had just pried open. So, why are textbooks so expensive? Because for decades, the one force that disciplines every other price, the buyer who can walk away, was engineered out of the market. The person who chose never paid, the person who paid could never say no, and every time students found an exit, it got sealed. The tell that it was always a business model, not a cost? The same three publishers who once tried to merge into a near-duopoly, a deal that collapsed under government antitrust pressure, can hand you the very same content as a $10 a month app. The knowledge was never the expensive part. The lock was. And once you can see that shape, a captive buyer, and a price built on what they can't escape, you start noticing it everywhere. If you found that useful, this is Why Is It So Expensive? The series that follows the money past the price tag to see how it really works. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.